also.
We're going to skip it?
No.
Okay.
We're live now.
Yep.
We're not going to skip it. I will
yeah. We'll talk about that later.
After.
We'll talk about that later.
Oh, now we're coming.
The people don't need to know these things.
No, they don't. They don't. But yeah, I'll talk to you about it after. Now I just need to find the right. Look, I'm telling you, this day, it's just, and it's fine. Like, you know, in the litany of bad days that a human has, this is very low on the list. This is not what I would call a bad day. It's just been a day.
Sure.
You know? And I just did this. By the way, welcome. I'll launch into this story because it is relevant.
Okay.
But I'll introduce us first. This is Next Level. I'm Emily. I host the podcast called Level with Emily, and Sam is the producer of that particular program. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
And we get together each week ahead of that week's episode release to just talk about what's coming up and all of those fun things. And so in just a moment, we'll talk more about Andy Rohrman, who is known as Scientific, and his music for Oxenfree and Oxenfree 2. But yeah, I just did a it was more than 90 minutes interview with the composer Marty O'Donnell, who is from, you know, the original Halo and Halo 2 and Halo 3 and more Halo things. And the person who was in charge of audio on Xbox before it launched. And that is a man who we've had on Level before named Brian Schmidt. Brian is big time in the game audio world, and Brian runs Game SoundCon. So that's the context which we've often had Brian on the show, and hopefully we will again before this year's Game SoundCon.
Sure, yeah.
But anyway, it was amazing. Like, it was amazing. It's one of those stories where just literally if one thing had gone wrong, we wouldn't have an Xbox or Halo on the Xbox. I mean, it's crazy. And so it was just really amazingly informative interview with them, and I loved it. And I recorded the audio, and I forgot to record the video, and I'm so bummed about that. But there were, I know, but we got the audio, so I'm just trying to focus on that. I'm just so bummed because literally there's some information in there that maybe has never been discussed ever publicly. So it's like, this could be an important, you know, record of that time. And so I'm bummed I didn't record the video, but all I can say is there were numerous distractions, and the fact that I remembered to record any of it at all, we're just grateful for that.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited, Sam, honestly, for you to hear it too, you know, as always, just because there's so much technical stuff about, you know, the capabilities of technology in the late 90s, because the Xbox launched on November 15th, 2001. And it was 18 months. They had 18 months to design it and build it and make it, ship it. That was it. So just what the technological capabilities were late 1999 into 2000, you know, as to what could fit in a game and all that stuff. And Dolby, so much talk about Dolby because that was a first as well, having a console that had Dolby Surround and being able to render Dolby in real time without latency issues.
Right, yeah.
So when it
That's
comes
neat,
to that, yeah.
I'm sure I'll be excited to hear all that stuff. I love that kind of thing.
I know, exactly. That's what I thought. And I thought how awesome that'll be when we do this with that episode, which will be pretty much 1 month from today. So, but today is all about Oxenfree. Other than that, how's your day?
It's going all right.
It's going fine. Yeah. We've had a massive weather shift in the last 12 hours, really. Well, it was more like probably like 16, 17 hours. It's dropped like 20 plus degrees. So, yeah.
Yeah, just really weird, you know.
Yeah.
Everything's so severe it seems these days. It's just the weather's just all over the place. You know?
I hope. I mean, and it's going to warm up a little bit again, but I don't know if we'll have summer. Like, yes, it was rare for it to be so hot here yesterday, this time of year, but it would be nice to have a gradual decline into fall rather than let's do this in 16 hours. And
summer punches us in the face, and then fall comes and punches us in the gut, and winter comes, kicks us in the balls.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. We'll see. Yeah, and there's all this massive construction out on my street, which at times is pretty loud, but that was mostly fine during the interview. There were a couple of times, but
okay.
As I suspected, I didn't do a lot of talking. It was Marty O'Donnell and Brian Schmidt just swapping stories, and
cool.
And it was great. It was literally awesome. Yeah. So
cool.
That'll be a month from now. And we've got some other great stuff coming up too. We have David Housden, who you may remember from, I know you remember, Sam.
Yes.
We know David. But Thomas Was Alone. He did. And he did another project with that same studio that I'm blanking on right now. And we had him on level about that too. So, but it's been like 7 years or so. It was ridiculous when I looked at how long it had been. So, yeah. So
did you talk to him already, or are you?
Yeah. Okay, no, I talked to him already. He's next week's episode.
He
did. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to remind you of the time that we ran into Charlie Sheen with him at a con.
Didn't he try to go up and say hi to him?
Yeah, it was so great. He was like really starstruck, and he wanted to just go over and say hi, and he got about 15 feet away, and these giant bouncers just and we're like, move along, son.
Pasty British guy walking up to Charlie Sheen, who,
looking
if I
nervous
remember, wasn't he just like slumped over the bar, kind of? Wasn't he in maybe some of his darker times?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. I mean, I think they get pretty dark.
Yeah. They do.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll reminisce with him on that another time, but
we will. Yeah. No, that's amazing. Right now I'm trying to get to our video that's happening right now so that I can see what may or may not be happening in the chat. And for some reason it's not letting me do this. Okay, there we go. All right, we're good. Anyway, let's talk about Oxenfree and Oxenfree 2. These games, again, I've said many times, even in just this forum, how much I love those games and how special I find them for many reasons, not least of which is the music and the audio in the games is so, so fantastic. And so I had just the absolute delight of talking with Scientific for 2 hours about both games and just split that into 2 parts for everyone's sanity. So part 2, I really had hoped to, in my mind, I had all these plans, and then you just get in a conversation and it just goes, and you don't want to derail it for the sake of your, so I wanted to spend more time on the first game in the second chat. Backwards, I know, but it kind of just didn't happen that way. I feel like we just kept talking more about Oxenfree writ large, which was really fun. So yeah, I'm ready to share music whenever, and I don't know how far you've had a chance to get through this one, because I know there have been some anomalies that have made it harder for you because of me.
No worries. No, this one is also just jam packed full of music, and
so much music.
So was part 1, which is, I think, always really great, and just a unique thing that we do. So that's really cool to get him talking about all these tracks specifically and going into details about stories about them and stuff like that. But it just means there's tons and tons of music, which is great. Yeah. But I wrote down a few tracks that we could check out if you want to. I don't know if you did too, but
jump in. Well, I didn't. I kind of don't need to. I could play literally any track off of either soundtrack. And
sure.
Yeah,
we talked some about this last week, but just I hadn't listened to the tracks from this episode yet.
Right.
But I was noticing, and I think this came up before, but and I feel like I remember this from his music from other soundtracks too, Gibbon and the other one, Jet. But he's got like his music tends to almost have a pop sensibility, electronica kind of like music. It sounds like electronic music that somebody pulled the vocals out of.
Yeah.
And
Thank
I
God.
really like music that's like that in general. That's really great. And it works really well for game soundtracks too, I think, because it leaves some space there and stuff like that. But I wrote down a couple examples of that.
Oh, good.
One of them was I think starts this episode, which is called Epiphany Fields. But
yeah,
I thought if you skipped like 20 seconds in, and played some of that, and then if you skip in like to around 3 minutes at some point, you see how there's like space for this other melody and stuff because there are no vocals, and it just like makes a real nice mood.
Oh, good. Yes. No, I lost sleep trying, and this is so funny because really, what difference does it make? Although maybe that is why we like our show, but I just like lost sleep about what tune to start this episode with. Like I knew part 1 would start how Oxenfree 2 starts because it's such an epic opening, and 1 starts in an epic way eventually once you get to the beach. It's kind of hard to describe if you haven't played them, but there are so many good songs, and I was like, oh man, now is, because it's the first thing you hear, right? So it's like, and I'm like, it has to be this track, and this track has such a special story too, which I love. So so you said skip 20 seconds ahead.
Yeah, because there's just a kind of a long buildup of an intro, but but around there is when the bass kicks in, and it kind of shows how like like you could easily imagine a vocalist coming in to ruin it. Yeah.
We're so bad. It's so true though. It's so true. Okay. This is not how I want to do this. Let's see. Do that. Do this. Yes. Okay. And then about 20 seconds in.
The vocalist comes in right here. Nope.
Exactly. Singing about doing their homework in their bedroom or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you skip into 3 minutes,
okay,
there's this cool like melody thing that's happening that there's a lot of space for, and it's just I think a good moment for that little melody. It's not too epic or anything. It's just neat.
Yep. All right, here we go. It's so good, and it's also just kind of loose, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's musically simple, super simple. So it's all
just
about
a major scale.
I mean, that part is just there's literally just a major scale, and the drums are just going
right. Yeah.
So it's all about the sounds and the vibes and the blend and the mix and stuff like that.
I've said this a million times too, that he's just got my number, kind of like you musically. He just got my number, and songs like that are just a perfect demonstration of that, because I love the simple things, like just plopping a major scale in there with super simple drums. I love it. So he tells the story of that how that song made it into the game. But this song that I want to play kind of relates to it in that originally this song was like a demo song that this fictional band made. And the band, you never even meet. It's like there's this kid in the first game named Ren, and he's in a band. And this is one of the tunes that was on their demo. And then the people in the studio in real life were like, no, that song is too good. We don't want to have it just on this radio that plays in the background. We want it in the game. And so that's Epiphany Fields. In Oxenfree 2, we get to hear more of Ren's band music on the radio.
Okay.
And one of those songs is Baby Carrots.
Yeah.
And I love this song so damn much. And it's the same reasons because, of course, no vocals.
Right.
And it's all just simple stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it just sounds like people messing around to have a good time musically. Like, I love it so much. So let's listen to Baby Carrots for just half a second. This is not available. He sent me this. I was so grateful. So grateful.
Well,
Please. I like
that one sounded
video voice memo of it to send it to him.
Yeah, cool. I mean, that one sounded like it wasn't mastered the same, and like it's supposed to maybe be coming out of a radio or something like that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It's
that's
like
the
mixed
only
that
time
way.
you hear it in Oxenfree 2. The only time you hear it in Oxenfree 2 is, because in both games, separate characters, separate stories, but you're carrying around a portable transistor radio. And so you're listening to the radio is just a question of what year is it when you're on whatever station you're on. But there's all kinds of like twisted time stuff they've done with the radio stations. But this one in particular is like the high school Kamina High radio station, which is really, really great. But even then, it's questionable as to what year this is. So anyway, here's some of Baby Carrots. And I love the little synth in the background that's going, whoop, 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 whoop. So cute. Yep. What the hell? Yes.
Yeah,
I love that song so much.
Yeah, me
my
too.
God.
And part of it is like there's these textures that he puts on things in a lot of the songs actually that are like these wobbling. It's like wobbling like a tape, like a bad tape deck or something
Warped
like
record
that.
Or something.
Warped record.
Yeah.
And and that makes that sound like it sounds like a 70s like garage band like recording of their rehearsal or something like that. You know what I mean? It sounds really cool.
Sounds so cool.
Yeah.
God, I love that song. I love that. I'm so bummed it's not on the soundtrack because I want that to be everyone's favorite song in the world for all time.
Right.
I just love that song. It just is. It's such. And I think too, when you're hearing it in the context of the game, which is really dealing with tremendously difficult issues and problems, it's really really special to hear it in that environment. I think that makes it that much better. I just love it. What else is on your list?
Well, one of the other things that I'd written down is that interesting way that he kind of messed with things, and there's like this warbly sound on stuff that doesn't sound quite like anything specific, but it sounds like it's giving it this kind of vibe and old-timey nature. And I wrote down a couple examples of that. One of them was called Against the Rocks.
Oh, yeah. Weird. That's well, it's right after Epiphany Fields. Yeah, this.
Is it
Yeah,
on the soundtrack?
On the yeah, because this is
Oh.
from these are that and this are from the first game.
Yeah,
But
okay.
yeah. Let me hit go on that. Yeah. Very cool what he did with this track too.
Okay. Does he explain what that is?
He not so much that, but he explains what he does with that track to create a different track.
Okay.
Because since both games deal with time loops and tears in time space situations, so that just gave him all these opportunities to mess around with that stuff musically too, in terms of taking a loop or even just a section of music and slowing it down or inverting it or whatever. So so here's the track called, I think it's Against the Waves. And you'll maybe catch it. I'm not sure, but here's Against the Waves. You probably won't catch it. It's too slow.
Oh yeah, this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so quiet. But
yeah, it's just a low synth going wow, wow.
Yeah, but I think that's actually audio from Against the Rocks that he's just continuously processed and slowed down and slowed down and slowed down.
That's really cool. I love stuff like that.
Yeah. And if you listen to that track, it is really subtle. It's really quiet. But if you listen to it, especially with headphones, you'll hear the piano from Against the Rocks in there. You can hear it in there, just slowed down a little bit. And then I think the other variables in there are slowed down parts of that even more and stuff like that. But yeah, he talks about it. It's cool. Yeah. He did stuff like that, I think, a lot.
Yeah. Which I think is like is really great, because that's the kind of stuff that gives everything its like texture and uniqueness and life.
Yeah.
Because you can fire up any digital audio workstation, turn on some synthesizers and play scales and stuff.
Right.
But it just doesn't really come alive until you add that human messing around shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other one that I wrote down that was along those lines is called Cold Comfort.
Oh yeah, okay. Let me go there. Hang on. Stand by. Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. Whoa. I gotta have a board. I need a board. I want a board. Yeah. Yeah, I just love the layers he builds. That's
Mm-hmm.
so great. Again, those are just scales, just really
Yeah.
simple little
Right.
things. And yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, a lot of that is from the first game. I'll play you something from the second. One of the things I really loved was, and he uses it in the first game too. It's just structured differently in the second game musically. And he wrote just this really perfectly looping melody that kind of folds back in on itself, which I really liked. And it's a very long melodic line.
Okay.
So let's listen to that, because I thought that was really cool. I can't remember if it starts right away.
What
And if
song is that?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's called Cleaned Slate, and it's from the
Okay.
second game. So similar already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But this melody that, oh, it's going to be a minute. We're going to go through this for a second before the melody comes in.
Okay. Yeah, so it's arpeggios instead of scales now on that low,
Yep.
part, and yeah.
Yep. Here comes the melody now. Yeah.
Yep.
And I can't remember if it's in this track or in the first game where then it loops and does it again, but it ends where it starts, right? Which is super cool.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of melodies don't do that. I mean, well,
Right.
there's lots of melodies on the radio right now that end where they start because they don't go anywhere. But
that makes it easier.
yeah, if all you're doing is yeah,
right.
But I loved that. And then I think it's in the first interview, actually. I don't think we talked about it last week because I had worked all day and I was probably 112 degrees outside. But Transmissions is a track that I really loved from the second game because he does this really cool thing where he starts doubling things in octaves, which sounds really, really cool to me. But it's gonna take me a second to find that particular place where that happens. So we'll just start it and then I'll bounce around a little bit. I decided not to bounce around. I'm sorry. It's too good. All right. Oh, here we go. To me, that's so good. I find that to be so good, how he does that spot where he brings in that voice really subtly that goes da 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 da. Sorry, I'm not a singer. He brings in that voice cracks and everything to prove it. He like brings in that voice, and it's kind of creeps in, and then it just starts echoing and echoing, and then other things start to drop out while that maintains, and then he reinforces it with the bass, and I'm just like, that is genius. This wasn't even going to be in the game, so let's hear that again if you don't mind.
No, yeah, do it.
It's just so good.
It's
so good.
Yeah, and it's the kind of situation musically where those notes can all be filling stuff up and still sound really great together. It's kind of like what's that movie that Hans Zimmer did with the not Inception, but the one where what's his face travels through time and like goes behind the bookcase and meets his daughter and all that stuff.
I thought that was Inception. I don't know. You do not ask me movie things.
Yeah, no, I can't think of what it's called, but it's one. There's this soundtrack that's got like a pipe organ. It sounds like it's got three pipe organs playing at once. No,
okay.
I don't think so. Maybe it is. I thought Inception was the other one, but
with the one where it's like wah.
Yeah, but it's not that, but one where you've got like all these notes happening. It literally sounds like somebody put a delay pedal on somebody messing around on a big pipe organ or something.
Yeah.
And it's like that where the notes, it sounds like it's like would be too much on paper or something, but when it blends together, it all works, you know.
Yep, because all the notes are friends.
Yeah, because they're all friends and they get along because there's a nice foundation there for them all to work together on. You know what I mean?
Whatever could you mean? Well, do you have any finals? We've been on for a while. It's just so easy. I mean, literally we've played like 4 or 5 tracks, and I could go through dozens with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
well, maybe play just one more little chunk from there's a tune called The Summit.
Yeah.
And if you skip into about 239, it shows like there's this building kind of synths happening, and then it finally kicks into a little bit of a thing toward the end of that track, and I just really dig that one.
No, you should. I think I'm confused because I think oh my God, I'm just realizing I might have made a mistake in the podcast. Crazy. I know. We'll talk about that offline.
Yeah.
Because I think it's in the first one. I know. But did you say it's because
239?
Here's the problem.
The Summit.
Well, there's The Summit and there's also To the Summit.
Oh,
and
crap.
I think I was supposed to put in To the Summit, but let's listen to The Summit.
Okay.
At 239 because that's I know that's what I put in there. Okay, here we go. Yeah. 239.
That's basically it. But like,
yeah,
it's super cool. But to me, I just love the vibe there, but also the setup. If you listen through the rest of it, the couple minutes leading up to it is just like laying down these nice synth swells and stuff. And then finally that down, 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 down comes in, and it just sounds like some old wonderful Depeche Mode or something like that. I love it.
Yeah, it's so great. Oh man, yeah, love these games. Play them. Play the games if you haven't. I think they're super fun. They, if you let them, you can think about deeper things in life, or you can just play them and listen to the amazing music. So that'll be part 2 this week, is the remainder of my conversation with Andy Rohrman, also known as Scientific. One other thing I want to mention that we do talk about in pretty great detail is Morgan Cooley. And Morgan Cooley is an sort of alter ego of Andy's that predates Oxenfree. So it's this basically new age music project of Andy's, and
Cool.
that he does under Morgan Cooley. So you can look up Morgan Cooley. It's Kuhli, Cooley, on Bandcamp. And they also
Okay.
have a collaborative album, Andy and Morgan. It's Morgan Cooley and Scientific. And it's
Yeah.
amazing. And Morgan Cooley is the uncle of Ren, who's the bandmate, right?
Yes.
And so while you're listening to the radio in Oxenfree 2, there's a different station where Morgan Cooley is the DJ, and he's spinning new age tunes, like music from the Hearts of Space style. So
Nice.
it's just fantastic. And we talk about that quite a bit as well. And treat yourself to listening to some Morgan Cooley. Go to Bandcamp, find it. It's very, get out your prayer bowls and your sage and your do your thing. It's great. It's
Nice.
so good, and it sounds great. It's scientific, right? So it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
With that, I've said all I want to say at this point. Do you have anything else you want to add about this whole Oxenfree situation that we've been in?
I don't think so. Just check out the episode. Check out both of them, even though one might have a mistake. And
Yeah, I gotta
don't worry
look into
about that.
that.
Uh, it's a ton of tracks and really good stuff. And Andy's great. And yeah, it's another
It's all
good one.
true. That's true. All right. Be well. Take care of yourself. And we'll be back here next week to talk about David Houston, which is very exciting.